Hello and welcome to this presentation of Mobile2Sage. I'm going to show you how to create a purchase order on a web browser and an iPad, and then also to be able to capture things like signatures and purchase orders before importing them into Sage 50. So what's Mobile2Sage? Well, it's an architecture that allows you to share your information in your office with your remote workers, be it on a browser or an iPhone or iPad, and it works both online and offline, and it's in both directions. So it's very, very flexible. It's predominantly used for creating things like sales orders on the road or creating customer portals or supplier portals and things like that. It's excellent for doing things like timesheets and expenses on iPhones. It has the ability to do barcode scanning so that you can scan things straight into an invoice for things like van sales. And it has all the capabilities that an iPhone has to do with signature capture, photo capture, and so on. And it syncs things in both directions. So in short, it's Sage on the go. So onto the demo. What are we going to do? Well, I'm going to start off by opening a browser up and just raising a purchase order. I'll then do the same thing on an iPad. And from both of those, what I'll do is I'll just send an email to the supplier. The scenario for this would be where you've got your employees out on the road and they need to raise a purchase order, like contractors or engineers and things like that. The system has the capabilities for authorization as well, which we'll cover. But then the next thing we'll do is we'll import those two purchase orders into Sage for processing in Sage. One of the other key requirements for a system like this is to be able to store documents electronically. So what we're going to do is we're going to capture things like signatures and pictures of goods received notes and things like that, as well as create some ad hoc notes. So let's start off. So I'll go into Chrome to start off with, and what I'll do is I'll just log into my Mobile2Sage portal, and I'll just log in as me. And what that will do is it'll log me into the cloud system and give me the message of the day. Next, I'm presented with a list of suppliers that we have access to, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to raise a purchase order for Con 001. And what that does, that brings up a summary of that supplier, and in here I can see the addresses that have been set up for them in Sage, the price list that they have in Sage for the different products and so on. And what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to create a web purchase order. I have the ability, we've got lots of modules in Mobile2Sage including requisitioning, but I'm just going to keep it nice and simple and just raise a web purchase order. To make things easier, I'm just going to give it a reference so that we can find it later, and then having done that, I can then add things to it either in single lines or multiple lines or using a catalog. So a multi-line one, which is obviously something that Sage can't do, is I can go in here, do a search for a particular range of products, and I can say I'll have 2 of those, 4 of those, 6 of those, and add those in one go. In certain organizations, it's easier to do it pictorially, so we've also got a catalog capability. So I can say, you know what, I'll have 10 of those, and I'll have, I don't know, 3 of those steaks. And again, that's got added to the order. I'll now just save that. Now, if I wanted it delivered somewhere else, I've got the ability to pick the delivery address for the supplier from here. I can do things like putting notes in, so say pre-10 o'clock. And all of these will then appear on the purchase order and so on. So what I'll do now is just send that off to the supplier. So I'll just press one button, and that'll go off to the supplier's account, and it's generated an order number 678, and there it is, it's just arrived. And if I was just to open that up for a second and have a look at it, I can then just see the details of the purchase order that I've sent, including images, which we don't have in Sage. So that's that one done. That's using a browser. So if I go back, and that's order number 678, and that's the browser all done. So we'll come out of that. Next, what we'll do is we'll do exactly the same thing using an iPad. So let me start off my iPad. And just log into the iPad. There it is. So there's my application again with my suppliers on it, and what I'll do is I'll do con again, and again I'll go and do a purchase order, and this one's going to be our 1535. 1535. Right, I've done that. And again, what I'll do is I'll just go and add a few of these. Pick a product. I'll have, I don't know, 3 of these and 5 of these. And that's again, add those 2 lines in. Great. Save that. And a couple of new things will happen on the iPad when I've done that. So when I send the email from the iPad, I've set this up to automatically save those PDFs to an FTP site and also save it to the DropBox account. And these are 2 optional modules that you can have for backup purposes, which means you can then share all of that information with your colleagues and so on. This was purchase order number 679, and again I've set this up to send myself an email, and if I go up here and have a look at that, there's the PDF, and that looks like that. There we are, complete with images and so on. So that's the order now taken on the iPad. So let's now go back to Sage and import those into Sage. So here's my Sage, and the last purchase order number that was processed was 100 and let's have a look, was 53. So in here, the system administrator would then go in and every now and then do a search and see what was available, and you can see these 3 at the bottom have just been created: 67, 68, 69, and I'm the authorizer on here. This looks pretty good to me, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to just approve those, ready for import into Sage. So there we are, we've done all of that. Now this bit here is where we would store documents and photos and things like that. So what I can do is do that from my iPad. So or I can just insert a document in here. So let's go back to the iPad, and what I'll do is I will then open up the iPad, go to the list, and what I can do is, let's say on 679 I want to put a signature in. So if I click on that and signature, sorry, I'll put it on a different one because I'm actually in there at the moment. So I'll put a signature into that one, and I'll put in R. There we are, accept that, and that's now got the signature in there, which is fine. And then the next thing I might want to do is take a photo of a dispatch note or an invoice or something like that. So let's take a photo. So I'll press the photo button against the pick list for argument's sake, and I'll just take a photo of my keyboard, but obviously this could be anything that you wanted. So that's the photo storage. Normally you would use this to store proof of delivery documents and things like that for audit purposes. So now that's being done on the iPad. It's being stored and copied to the FTP site and DropBox, as I've said. But now if I go and have a look at my admin console next to Sage, I will see, there you go, there's my signature, and there's the photo. It's immediate, so the administrator back at the office can keep track of all the documents and see everything in a nice, easy way. And the final thing the administrator will need to do is just press one button to import those purchase orders into Sage. So off we do, we'll just press one button there, and what that will do is it will go off and it will send me 2 Excel spreadsheets of what it's going to do. So it's looked for everything that's available, and that Excel spreadsheet has just arrived, and what it's doing now is just importing it. So if I go and have a look at the Excel spreadsheet and look at the purchase orders, it shows me details of the purchase orders have gone in. So there'll be a purchase order for 679 going in there now. And that's it. And also, if we had other types of transactions, the Mobile2Sage can do all sorts of things like product invoices, quotes, sales orders, and so on. So it's quite common in organizations to use the application for multiple things. So that's now all done and dusted. So what I need to do now is just go and refresh that. And there we go. So these are the purchase orders we've just put in. 679 was the last one that we did. So if I open that up, there you go. You can see 5 of those tanks, 3 of those tanks with my reference number on it, and so on. So that easy. So create a purchase order on the browser or the iPad, store documents on the browser or the iPad, and just with one click you can just bring it into Sage, and you've got your web-based purchase order processing system. Oh, one thing I didn't show you was the ability to have ad hoc notes. So if I go back into the application and show those, there we are. So these are all the topics. So for example, in here, well, that was 679, which is there you go. It doesn't really matter which one we use. So if I pick the 665, I can put on there price rise on 1620, and that will always be there against that particular purchase order number, which again is useful because on different types of transactions you're going to have the ability to store things, and you can have multiple transactions. So the next time you go in there to say managed to agree 10% discount. So it's a very, very simple yet powerful method of holding notes against a particular purchase order or a transaction within Mobile2Sage. Good. So, in summary, there's a free trial. So if you think this might be of an interest to your organization, please reach out and we'll discuss your requirements and set up a free trial for you. It's very quick and easy to set up. We've got lots and lots of little modules that we can switch on, like the FTP module or the DropBox module or the requisitioning module. It's very cost effective. The core product comes with 5 standard users, and it also works on any version of Sage. So just let us know which version it is and we can then configure it for that. The key benefit of it is the fact that you can share information with all stakeholders, both internal and external. So in this particular case, I had engineers out on the road who needed to raise purchase orders, and that's what this system was configured to do. But it is very, very easy to take your existing paper forms and turn them into iPhone, iPad, and browser apps. We've got lots and lots of solutions. The best place to find details of those are on our YouTube channel, so I would invite you to go and have a look there. And if there are particular things you'd like to discuss, then please send me an email or call the number below, and we can arrange a con call. Thank you very much for your time and interest in Mobile2Sage, and we look forward to hearing from you. Thank you.